Welcome back. Today's experiment explores the impact of the rising sea level of our world. I'm sure you've heard of climate change and the fact that our planet's temperatures are warming each year, year after year. Well, that has a big impact on the icy North Pole and the icy South Pole. As the temperature rises, the ice melts. It's believed that 150 billion tons of ice is melting each year in Antarctica alone. Since Charles Darwin's voyage, which started in 1831, global sea level has risen over 20 centimetres. And some scientists believe that it could rise a further 70 centimetres by the year 2100. And that could have a massive impact on people living in coastal cities and coastal communities. There are two main types of ice at the poles. Sea ice, which floats basically as the ocean freezes, and ice sheets, which are basically the accumulated layers of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or in some cases even millions of years of icy snowfall and ice accumulations. The very important difference is that ice sheet forms on land, whereas sea ice floats on the ocean. How these different ice sheets melt and the runoff from them has a huge impact on rising sea levels. And that's what today's experiment is all about. To do this experiment, you need two containers of exactly the same size. This is really important. If they're not the same size, this won't work exactly as it should do. You also need plasticine or clay. Ideally that's white, doesn't have to be though, but if you can get white, it's better. Put that inside the containers, like you can see here, I've done with these two. It has to be pretty much the same section. It shouldn't be right to the top, but it should cover a third or around about a half of your container. This is meant to represent land. You then need water and you need ice. Then you can draw a polar bear to represent the Arctic. Polar bears only occur in the north. They do not occur in the southern polar regions. So you can put that little marker in one of your containers. Then you can draw a lovely little penguin to represent the Antarctic. Penguins only occur in the southern hemisphere, in the southern polar regions. So you have very different wildlife in the South Pole and the North Pole. So let's put him in there. So you've got Antarctica, where most of the ice is the ice sheet on land, and the Arctic, where much of the ice is the sea ice, the floating ice in the ocean. Now you're ready to add your ice. Try and get ice cubes that are all pretty much the same size. So for the Arctic, put the ice in to represent floating sea ice. So remember your clay or plasticine represents land. Put in 10 or 15 or however many cubes that you can fit into your container into the water section, into the ice. I think I'll put in 10 in here. There we go, 3 more. Right, next for Antarctica, you've got to carefully balance exactly the same number on land, on the plasticine. So I put in 10 in the last container, so I've got to put 10 in here. Let's see what the difference is. Let's put those in here. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you're ready to add your ocean. Get some water. It can be any water. Tap water is absolutely fine. And you have to fill the two containers to exactly the same level. This is very important. So I'm going to carefully do it to about something like halfway. Let's try this one and this one here. Oh, I think I might need a little bit more water in that one to bring the level up to the same. That looks about the same there. Then with a permanent marker, mark the level of the water on your container. So that's there, perfect. And this one here. Now you have to leave your experiment and imagine the warming climate and the ice melting. What do you think will happen? Do you think there'll be a difference when the floating sea ice melts compared to the ice sheet on land? Well, you have to leave it for a while until the ice melts to find out. Send in photographs of your experiment and complete the results sheet on the DARWIN200 website. Send your entries to classroom@darwin200.com for a chance to win one of 3 £50 Amazon gift voucher prizes. Good luck, and please join me in 2 weeks' time to find out the results of this really interesting sea level rise experiment.